So let's see, did we do our job? We did our job today. We did two loops of the spiral, moved up 2 levels. By the way, this is not particularly Jewish either. This is basic dialectical philosophy which comes from all over the world into Judaism. In Christianity they call it translation. Translation. Latik, to translate in Hebrew. Hataka. In other words, angels moving up and down the ladder, the worlds, it's called in Hebrew Hishtalshalut, moving up and down the tree of life from one level to the next, are translating. It's a process of translation. It's shifting. Hatik means to shift. The dialectic shifts from one level to the next. So this kind of dialectical motion is the Eglah, the Logos at work. We can use it consciously as a prayer, like we did just now, based on faith and that it will work, that Hashem will help us get there. Even if we don't, not aware of doing it, it happens anyway. You know, at least it happens in certain senses, and certain can be seen in the world. Idealistic philosophers like Hegel look back and see the whole history of the universe in that way, but maybe that's a bit much. But at least we know that when we use it as a meditative process in the context of what Nachman of Breslav and other pietists would call prayer, being in the here and now and starting from the particulars to get to the general ideas, working our way up the ladder, doing inductive logic rather than deductive logic, which goes down the other side, from the one to the many. If we do inductive logic in the here and now, and surrender to the work of the Eglah, the archangel, maybe you could call it Michael, or you call it Gabriel, or whatever the archangel might be, but Nachman of Breslav calls it, in essay number 7, he calls it the bull, the Eglah. There's another sense that he uses it. I think it's in that essay also. The word bull he associates, this is Bechinam, this is an aspect of that. The association he gets there is, another word for bull is shor in Hebrew, shor. Now the root shor, lashur, has another meaning. Guess what it is? It means to gaze. Lashur, to gaze. So now, what's the relevance there? See, here we are now, having worked through 2 levels of the dialectic. First of all, me and my mother. Second of all, Tiberius and Yavniel. To get to a higher point of view which somehow encompasses those struggles. So here we are on the top, gazing back and saying to ourselves, how could we have been stuck in those things? We don't, now that we found our way out of it, now that Mr. H helped us move up with his angel, so how did we ever get stuck in that in the first place? And we could see the power of faith and prayer, at least the way that jargon is being used by Nachman of Breslav. You could do it without calling it job, by the way. You could just call it other things. And maybe we should talk about that for a minute. So anyway, gazing. So here we are gazing with the wisdom of hindsight, gazing back at the path we followed. So there is another sense that the word bull, shor, and eglah and shor are 2 aspects of the same process of the dialectic, call it the concrete dialectic, not just dialectic. Concrete because it's all here and now, dealing with real experiences, or real awarenesses, contact experiences. So it's concrete logic, concrete dialectic. We call it look at it from the point of view of being on top and looking back at the wasteland, like, see, that's where we're at Tzelem Elokim, we're doing God's work, so we're in a sense, they say, Hashem rochev al ravot, that's what God does. God is on top of the desert of dead forms, that we're stuck in our lives, our games, our trips. We're doing his process. So we're telling Elohim, we're working in the image of God. We're gazing down from his vantage point of being rochev, hovering on over the Arava, the desert. Okay, that's one thing I want to say. Now let's look at it from a different point of view. This stuff does not have to be religion. This really good stuff could be art. It's aesthetics, romantic aesthetics. Take a look at Brechtian theater, which is in the romantic tradition. Epic theater. Now an actor in an epic theater learns how to be on top of his material, is what they call it, on top of his material. So he puts together a bunch of forms into a complicated structure. Maybe he moves this is the image track doing one thing, and there's the voice track doing another thing, and the body track doing another thing, and the left arm doing this thing, and the face track doing that, the mask doing something else, and puts together this interesting collage of stuff. And then he uses an image objectively to gaze at the image. He's gazing at the image, shur la shur, remember. And with the power of that gazing objectively at the image, he elevates himself above that collective pile of junk, that junk collage that he put together. And he can work in the here and now and comment on it. Express his point of view towards it, rather than being stuck in that goofy character that he created. That character becomes like a filter, and the performer is like a light, illuminating that pile of junk from all kinds of points of view. And so the character takes on a moment, a here and now, messianic now existence, illuminating, and that spark goes right out to the audience, and they think something wonderful and mystical is happening, when all he's doing is just the same old dialectic, the same old logos, the same old demiurge, whatever you want to call it, the shor, the egla, dialectical thinking. He's doing the synthesis, looking down at the antitheses.
And Absalom would rise up early and stand beside the way of the gate. And when any man that had a controversy came to the king for judgment, then Absalom called to him and said, Of what city art thou? And he would say, Thy servant is of such and so one of the tribes of Israel. And Absalom would say to him, See, thy pleas are good and right, but there is no man deputed of the king to hear thee. Absalom would say moreover, Oh, that I were made judge in the land, and every man who has any suit or cause might come to me, and I would do him justice. And when any man came near to him to bow down to him, he put out his hand and kissed him. From what town are you? I see your words are true, but there is no judge, my dear, to listen to you. Who will appoint me the judge for all the land, the king's oldest son? Follow me. Who needs Solomon? How lovely it would be when you would come before me. I'd put forth my hands and hug you and kiss you. Forward we will go. King David will overthrow my sweet old papa. Kaput, very soon. Cha cha cha.
I think compare that with Stanislavski. Stanislavski has the character, the actor, identifying with the character, in the character, lost in the character, and trying to bring the audience into the character with him. And they all follow the big idea, And there you have Chabad, the other side, in Breslav. Chabad and Stanislavski and Aristotle are on one side, and Breslav and Brecht's theater, especially post-Brechtian formalism of Mabelmein's theater, is on the other side. So you see, you don't have to call this religion. You can call it art if you like. I'm sure there are parallel aesthetic point of things about theory of painting or literature. You can find all these things. We don't have to call it religion. So if you want to get down on religious people, you don't have an excuse. I started off using projections to do HITBOD'DUT by projecting ourselves onto these different nature objects. As they say in Taoism, before you paint the branch, first become the branch. So we became the branch, became the piece of plastic, the old piece of plastic lying here, and that led us to some truth, led us up the path, Jacob's ladder. We did basically, the Christians have a longer tradition of using dialectical philosophy. They talk about having, if you would, what is it, about a grain of mustard seed, faith in a grain of mustard seed. So here we had a little bit of faith in an old plastic bottle laying here. Then you'll find your way up the ladder towards Mr. H, right?
Yep. Come on up here, it's nice up here. Ha ha.
Well, yeah, I've had a nice trip today. Thanks for the trip.
No problem. Anytime.
So we started off with that, and we worked up the 2 levels, up the agla, the dialectic, concrete dialectic, the spiral, the tree of life, from Jacob, from Abraham to Yitzchak to Yaakov, the action, the middle pillar. In fact, makes me think of Likutei Moharan 1, the essay number 1, where he says, Yaakov Nachman says, a Yid has got to find the inner idea in every object. The inner idea that shines in every object. So we took that little object, a piece of bottle, plastic bottle, and we found the inner idea. What's the inner idea? It's the higher level of spirituality, the macrocosmic idea, the Platonic idea, or if you want to call it Mr. H, whatever you like. But we followed that process, and we did it using dialectical thinking. We found the inner idea in that little piece of broken bottle. So now we connected up at the same time the idea of spirituality to my mother. We connected it to my mother, to Israel. All these objects that we illuminated today, Yadniel, Tiberius, even the motorcycle is part of it. So you see, we're trying to. The point was to learn how to use projections creatively, spiritually, and I believe we accomplished that. So that's it for now. Bye bye, folks.